Hey everyone, welcome back. I was thinking the other day about all those big dreams we had as kids.
Yeah,
Like, remember wanting to be an astronaut, soaring through space.
totally. Or like a rock star playing a sold out show. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then, well, adulting happened.
Uh-huh. It has a way of doing that.
It really does. And it kind of nudges those dreams in a different direction. So today, we're going to do a deep dive into something that I think we all deal with.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Letting go of those dreams, the ones that, well, maybe aren't going to happen exactly as we planned.
It's a tough one, but it's something we all go through at some point, that realization that life has other plans.
Yeah, and it can be hard.
Absolutely. It's bittersweet. You're saying goodbye to a part of yourself, to those hopes and dreams you held on to for so long.
It's like realizing your spaceship is actually a minivan,
Yeah.
and your concert stage is, well, the kitchen counter while you're making dinner.
I love that. But the thing is, recognizing that those early dreams might need a little adjusting, it can be a real turning point.
Oh, for sure.
It's not about giving up entirely. It's about opening ourselves up to new possibilities, things we might not have even considered before.
Okay, so before we jump into all that, let's be real for a second.
Okay.
This process can be tough,
Yeah.
like really tough.
Yeah, no doubt. It's like you're saying goodbye to a part of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So how do we deal with that?
Well, I think the first thing is acknowledging those feelings, whatever they are. Sadness, disappointment, even anger. It's all part of the process.
Right, because trying to ignore those feelings just makes things harder.
Exactly. It's like stuffing a giant unicorn into a tiny shoebox.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's just not going to fit. Eventually, it's going to burst out, glitter and all.
I love that analogy. Okay, so acknowledge the elephant in the room. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing this whole letting go thing is even tougher for some people.
Yeah, definitely. There are certain groups that really struggle with this for different reasons.
Like who?
Well, think about people dealing with chronic illnesses or disabilities. Their limitations might mean that some dreams, no matter how much they want them, just aren't realistic.
Yeah, that's got to be hard. Like, life dealt you a hand that makes the game impossible to play.
Yeah, and then there are those facing huge financial hurdles. When you're just trying to make ends meet, chasing big dreams can seem impossible.
It's like trying to climb Mount Everest with a backpack full of bricks.
Exactly. You might have the will, but those extra burdens make it so much harder.
And then there's societal limitations, right?
Absolutely. Like living in a place where opportunities are scarce, education is limited, or certain career paths just don't exist.
So it's not even always a lack of effort. Sometimes the system is working against you.
Exactly. And then you have folks who hit a point in their careers and realize, wait, this isn't what I signed up for at all.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Or they might find they don't have the natural talent for what they're doing, and that's a tough pill to swallow.
It's like spending years perfecting your backhand, only to realize you're on a baseball field.
Uh-huh. Perfect analogy.
And we can't forget the impact of mental health.
Oh, absolutely.
Depression, anxiety, those can be so draining.
It's like trying to run a marathon with a weight tied to your ankle.
Your inner cheerleader has totally lost their voice.
Yeah. And of course, there are young adults just starting out. They often face a harsh reality check. That passion doesn't always pay the bills.
Especially in today's world. The follow your dreams advice sounds great until you have student loan debt.
Right.
So even when we get why some dreams might be out of reach, accepting it emotionally is a whole other thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's a process.
So why is it so hard to let go? Like, what's the deal with that?
Well, I think it's partly because we hear all the time that anything is possible if you just try hard enough, right?
Yeah.
And while hard work is important, it's not the only thing. Sometimes things outside of our control just prevent those dreams from happening no matter how much effort we put in.
It's like having all the ingredients for a cake, but no oven.
Exactly.
You can mix and stir all you want, but without the right tools, that cake isn't happening.
And that can be so frustrating to realize.
Okay, so we talked about who struggles with this and
Sure.
why it's hard. But let's get specific.
Okay.
What are some of those roadblocks, those things that can really shatter those dreams?
Oh, we touched on a few, but let's dive deeper. Health limitations, for one. Imagine you've always dreamt of being a dancer, but an injury takes that away.
It's like training for the Olympics and tripping right before the race.
Oof, yeah.
And then there's the financial side.
Huge one.
Maybe you want to start a business but don't have the money.
Yeah.
Or go back to school but you're already in debt.
It's like having a map to buried treasure but no shovel to dig it up.
Aha, love that.
And then societal limitations like we talked about. You could be incredibly talented, but if opportunities are limited where you live, it's like swimming upstream.
So sometimes it's not a lack of drive, it's the system itself.
For sure. And sometimes it's about being honest with yourself and admitting maybe you don't have the natural talent for something.
Ouch.
I know, right? Like, no amount of practice will turn me into an opera singer.
Uh,
It's just not in my DNA. But recognizing that early can save a lot of heartache.
so being honest with yourself about your strengths and limits.
Exactly. And then, as we get older, priorities change, right? What we wanted at 20 might not be what we want at 40.
So it's not always about abandoning the dream completely, but realizing it's evolved into something different.
I couldn't have said it better.
Okay, so we've covered why dreams don't always work out. But I'm really curious about the emotional side.
Mm-hmm.
How do we process that? How do we grieve those lost dreams and move on without feeling like we've failed?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's a struggle for a lot of people. But I think the first step is acknowledging that grieving is a necessary part of this whole thing.
So it's okay to feel sad, disappointed, even a little resentful.
Absolutely. Those are totally normal reactions to any kind of loss. And letting go of a dream is definitely a loss. Trying to bury those feelings just makes them worse later on.
Or like ignoring a cut. If you don't clean it, it gets infected and causes more problems.
Exactly. So the question is, how do we tend to these emotional wounds? Well, there's actually a process for that. It starts with acknowledging the pain. It's okay to feel sad, disappointed, even lost. Don't push those feelings away.
So we're not ignoring that big tangled ball of yarn in the corner of our minds. We're going to untangle it, even if it takes a while.
Exactly. The more you avoid it, the worse it gets. But if you confront it head on, it starts to make sense, and eventually you can let it go.
Okay, acknowledge the pain, check. What's next in the untangling process?
Letting go of what could have been. It's easy to get stuck in the if only and what if track.
Like replaying that embarrassing karaoke performance over and over again.
Exactly.
It's not going to change the past, and it won't make you a better singer.
Right. Focus on the present and what you can control. How can you create a future that feels good, even if it's not what you originally pictured?
Okay, acknowledge the pain, let go of the past. What's the final step in this grieving thing?
It's giving yourself permission to move on. Accept the reality and start creating a new path for yourself. You can release the old dream without feeling like a failure.
So, not forgetting the dream, but releasing its hold on you and making space for new things to come in.
Exactly. It's about realizing that things might not have gone as planned, but you can still find happiness and fulfillment.
This is all hitting home for me, and I bet our listeners are feeling it too.
Mm-hmm.
But acknowledging the loss and grieving, that's just one part.
Right.
What happens next? How do we actually shift gears and create that new path?
That's where pivoting comes in. Not giving up entirely, but shifting your focus and energy to goals that fit your life now.
It's like being a chef who suddenly has to make a delicious meal with completely different ingredients.
I love that.
Might take some creativity, but the results can be amazing.
And pivoting can be really empowering. It starts with redefining what success means to you. We get so caught up in the big dream that we forget to appreciate the smaller wins along the way.
So realizing that success doesn't have to look like what society says it should?
Yeah. It's more about feeling fulfilled and living a life that feels true to you.
Exactly.
And realizing there are many paths to that fulfillment. Maybe you didn't become a CEO, but you built a successful small business that you love. That's a huge win.
Or maybe you're not a famous musician, but you share your love of music by teaching kids or jamming with friends.
See, it's about finding those moments that light you up, make you feel alive.
Okay, so redefining success, that's key.
Mm-hmm.
What else can we do to start creating that new path?
Well, look at your old dream. What parts of it still resonate with you, even if the big goal is gone? What skills or passions can you bring to this new chapter?
So finding the core of the dream that still excites you and figuring out how to bring it into your life in a different way.
Yes. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try new things, learn new skills, explore side hustles, volunteer. You never know what might spark a new passion.
You know, I think a lot of people are so scared of failing that they don't try anything new.
That's so true. And it's a shame because failure is the best teacher.
So it's not about avoiding failure, but seeing it as a way to learn and grow.
Exactly. And you don't need to have all the answers right now. It's a journey. Take it one step at a time.
This is so inspiring. It's like taking those shattered pieces of the old dream and making a beautiful mosaic.
I like that.
But let's get practical. What are some actual steps we can take to go from pivoting in theory to actually making it happen?
Okay, so ready for some action steps?
Hit me with them.
All right, first things first, some honest self-reflection time.
Ooh, I like that.
Think about what really matters to you now, you know? What are your values, priorities, those deep down
It's
desires?
like taking inventory.
Yeah, what gets you excited? What kind of mark do you want to make on the world?
Love that. Okay, soul searching done, passions rediscovered. What's next?
Well, if money is a big worry, and let's face it, it often
For
is,
sure.
that's a good starting point. Even small steps towards financial security can make a huge difference in chasing those dreams.
Because when you're stressed about money, it's hard to be creative, take risks. It's like trying to write a novel while juggling chainsaws.
Uh-huh, exactly. So get those finances in check, budget, find ways to save, maybe even take a course on personal finance.
Knowledge is power, especially with money.
Right. Okay, so solid financial base, check. Now for the fun part.
Okay, lay it on me.
Start experimenting. Think about those passions we talked about and find low-risk ways to bring them into your life.
I like that.
Volunteer, take a class, maybe start a little side hustle just to test the waters.
Dip your toes in before jumping in the deep end.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Surround yourself with supportive people.
Oh, yeah, your crew.
People who believe in you and this new direction. You might need to have some honest conversations with people who are holding on to the old you.
It's like pruning a garden. Gotta make space for new things to grow.
Love that analogy. And your support system can go beyond people you know personally. Online communities can be amazing for finding like-minded folks.
Your virtual cheer squad?
Exactly. And here's the beautiful thing. This isn't just about hitting specific goals. It's about growing, being resilient,
It's
adapting.
so important in today's world.
Right. Life throws curveballs, and that's okay.
Sometimes those curveballs take you to amazing places you never would have planned for.
Couldn't agree more.
It's about trusting the journey and being open to what comes next.
Absolutely. So if you're listening and realizing a dream might not pan out the way you thought,
We've all been there.
take heart. This isn't the end, it's a new beginning. A chance to rewrite your story, create a life that feels more you than ever.
It's like taking those pieces of the old dream and building something new and amazing.
You got it. And you are not alone on this journey. We're all figuring it out together.
So true. Well, that was amazing. So much to think about.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
This is exactly why we do these deep dives. So, to everyone listening, be kind to yourself. Celebrate those small wins. Embrace the twists and turns, and never, ever stop believing in your power to create a life you love.
And remember, never stop dreaming.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time.